I am Chuck Gilmore with Power to Sing Live, number 95. Today we're going to talk about how to speed up learning how to sing. This is something we all want to know, right? We know how we can get there faster, easier, quicker, better. So we're going to talk about that today and give you a few tips on some things that are, I think, simple to do that can make a real big difference in how fast. Hey, George, nice to have you here today. Great to see you. And Ty, nice to have you here. Hey, Subia. Hi. There must be you must be staying up late tonight. So thanks for joining us, Subia. Want to make sure that you guys can hear me and see me okay. And I think that we're looking pretty solid here. I've got lots of signal here saying that my voice is coming through, and so just verify that for me if you can. William Franklin, hi, nice to have you. Blue Lightning, hi. Biddy 4, oh yeah. Mike here from Singers. Hey, Mike. Hey, great, cool, all right, yeah, Biddy 4. Ah, I know you are. So, Mike, our intent is to do one of these on Thursday, so for Singers Impact. Okay. Wow, everybody's piling in, and we're just about a half a minute away from our getting started here. So let me just get to this point here so we can scroll down. And Marty, hi from Calgary. Awesome. Nice to have you with us today, Marty. And so great. Well, we got a nice group with us here already, and so we're going to be off to the races in a moment. I saw a video. Well, hi. It's top of the hour. Let me just say welcome. This is Chuck Gilmore with Power to Sing Live, number 95. Today we're going to talk about how to speed up learning how to sing. So I saw this video the other day and it reminded me of my own kids when they were learning how to swim. And I remember one time we were in a pool and one of my little girls was on the edge of the diving board, right? And she had her arms out like this and she kind of fell into the water and I'm down there waiting for her, to come on, you can do it. And imagine, she jumped, she dove in and kind of landed a little bit on her tummy, but she did really well. Can you imagine doing that and then like the next day or the following week or a month later, taking the same new swimmer, new diver, and put her on the cliffs of Acapulco and say, okay, now jump off. Come on, you can do it. You learned how last week to dive. Now go ahead and jump 300 feet. And by the way, do a 3.5, 3.5 with a double twist on the way down and land perfectly. Sometimes, way too often, I'm afraid, we think that singing should come that fast. We should just be able to, we can talk, and we've all sung before, then why not really be able to just be world class in a moment's, in a month or 2 months or 2 years or 5 years. So we have expectations of ourselves that truthfully are probably not completely realistic. We've got to be able to understand some things about our how we learn and not just how we learn how to sing, but how do we learn how to do anything. All right, so it reminds me of if you compare learning how to sing to going to the gym, and you say, well, I'm going to lose 20 pounds, I'm going to lose 30 pounds, whatever. I'm going to lose this weight, and I'm going to start working out, and and I'm going to get abs. I'm going to take my shirt off, and I'm going to have just wash board abs, for everybody to see, and big biceps and whatever. Well, great. I think everybody can, everyone can do that. However, we go into that, don't we? A little more realistic. We go in and realize that, hey, it's going to take probably months and maybe even years, depending on our age and so forth, and also the development of the body and what your genetics are a little bit, and so it's very similar. Learning how to sing is very similar. There's some other comparisons we can make. Anyway, I want to say hi to, let me see, what do we got going here? Ty Wilson, how to sing with a low larynx. Yeah, maybe we can talk about that a little bit. So, anyway, I had another one of my little kids. My wife and I have 8 children. Our youngest is now 24. Our oldest is going to be 38 in December. So, in between those two bookends are a total of 8. So my second to the youngest child, little boy, I remember when we went to the swimming pool, and the first time he climbed up on the high dive, pretty little, climbed up on the high dive, walked out to the edge, and just jumped. He didn't even hesitate. He just jumped. Now, he didn't dive in, but he just jumped in. I mean, he was little. It was like there was no fear at all. He just walked off like it was, or maybe even ran off. It was like, I was like, what? And he landed in the water, and dog paddled over to the edge of the pool and got out and went up and did it several times. Well, there was no fear at all. But during that day, he went over a little bit he tilted himself too far forward. And so when he kind of hit, he didn't go in smoothly. He kind of hit his face and hit his chest, and that hurt. And that was the end of that. I don't know that he went back up and did it again. And so why? Because he was afraid. So I say that because even in our minds, we suddenly think that, hey, this is pretty easy. I'm just gonna do this. And in his case, he didn't start doing diving and things like that. But and then something happens, and then all of a sudden we realize, oh, wait a minute. This will not only hurts, but it's hard to learn. So we're really talking about this process of training our bodies, and we'll be talking about that today. Yeah, ow. And this is a little kid. I mean, he was probably like 6 years old or something like that. So, okay. Great. Well, so it was wonderful to see everybody here today. And so let me just let me talk about principle number 1. And I'm going to let me start out by reading a comment from the book Singing for the Stars. Singing for the Stars, written by a gentleman named Seth Riggs. And he said in this edition that I have, which I think is the current edition, he said on page 39, under the title, Building Strength, all in good time. Don't be concerned about building a strong voice right away. Don't be concerned about building a strong voice right away. The ability to increase loudness of your tone will come by itself after the coordination of your vocal muscles has been established. We could compare that to a runner. If, you know, we've all been running all of our lives. But if we want to run a race, if we want to be a competitor, if we want to compete against other runners and then get into a track tournament or a cross country run, then that kind of thing in terms of competition requires training. And in many cases, we have to relearn or we have to stop doing the way we've done a certain way and relearn how to do it so that we can compete. Hey Roxanne, nice to see you. Nice to have you here. Um, so one of my favorite movies is called Chariots of Fire. And it's about Eric Liddell and Harold Abrams. And Harold Abrams had never lost. He never lost a race until he was at the university in London. And he traveled to, I think he traveled to Scotland, and he ran against Eric Liddell, who was also, both were Olympic caliber, and he lost. And it was devastating to him. He'd never lost a race ever. So what's interesting about this story is Abrams had approached Sam Musabini, a professional coach, sometime earlier in his running career, and Musabini said, "Well, I'll do the asking. I'll watch, and if I think I can help you, I'll come calling." So in this instance, Musabini happened to see the race, and in the movie, Harold Abrams is distraught. He's talking to his girlfriend, future wife, actually, and was just coming apart. He couldn't deal with having been beaten by somebody. Well, then the Musabini comes walking up on the track and yells up at him and says, "Mr. Abrams," I need to watch it again, but I think he says something like this: "I can find you another 2 yards." Well, okay, so in the movie, then what happens? They show him film after film watching all the best runners, slides of them. This is back in the 1920 or time period, someplace around that time, and or in 1919 something. Anyway, he's showing them slides of all the great runners who had Olympic heroes, of sprinters, and teaching him different principles. And they took him out and taught him how to start a race. You see what's happening? He took him apart and put him back together again. Now, this is a guy who never lost a race, but won. He completely revamped his running style. He was overstriding. He was doing, so it shows us training, months of training. And so the moral of the story to me is that here's Olympic caliber runner already who is learning how to run, who is relearning it, and it wasn't just something that Sam Musabini could just show him. He had to. It's a very inspiring movie. If you've never seen it, you got to see it. Abrams had to learn how to run again. Ended up being he ended up winning the 40 or the 100-yard, and I think his record stood until like in the 60s or 70s, something like that. That's with all the new equipment, with all the new tracks. It was an amazing record time that he won the Olympics in. But so this was not something that just he could do by just being told or shown once. He had to forget everything that he'd been doing and relearn how to start off the block, how to run a certain kind of stride, and everything. And it worked. But it doesn't happen quickly. Okay, so let me just say hi to, I lay all that foundation because sometimes we think that because we've been singing all our lives, but we know we need help, and so we start taking lessons, and we think, well, I should be able to come out this evening, take my lesson and go out and do it. It doesn't work that way. To say nothing about bad habits and stopping things that we are doing wrong and then relearning and retraining ourselves and forgetting the muscle memory. And so our expectations have got to be, we really have to approach this as an athlete would. Someone who has, I know if we look around in the world, there are hundreds of examples of these kinds of things that don't come. They seem like they would come easy, but our expectations are maybe out of whack. Like having a little child learn how to do a dive and then take him to the Acapulco cliffs and say, "Okay, go ahead." There's a big difference in it's pretty obvious. But I think there's a comparison to what we expect of ourselves when we start studying singing. Okay, so I'll get to some of the specific questions that you guys are asking here in a second. All right, so let's talk about principle number one. And here's the other thing. Some of these things are so simple. As Mr. Let me just go back here to Seth Riggs' statement. He said, the ability to increase the loudness of your tone will come by itself after the coordination of your vocal muscles has been established. So he's implying that we're not going to worry about singing loud. We're not going to worry about building power. We're just going to worry about getting you coordinated. Once the crutch of depending on your outer muscles to help keep your vocal cords balanced with your breath flow is gone. In other words, we're going to take all of these muscles that have nothing to do with creating tone out of the equation so that just those internal vocal cords and the muscles and the cords and so forth, when they are freed up from extrinsic muscle squeezing and so forth, that crutch that we rely on because we don't know any different, once this is gone, your vocal cords will develop their own independent strength. Their own independent strength. Little by little, your vocal cords will be able to hold back more and more air in the vibration process, eventually providing you with all the dynamic or the loudness flexibility you'll need. In the meantime, or at any time for that matter, you should sing only as loudly as you are able to stay on your speech level. That is, with the larynx down where you speak, that's speech level with the larynx down, comfortable, like I'm using right now, with a clear, connected, and easily produced tone throughout your entire range. You should sing only as loudly as you're able to stay on your speech level with the connected, clear, connected tone so that it's not breaking the falsetto. So two things, the larynx is down, the cords are together, the vocal cords are staying adducted, so you're not breaking in the falsetto. And to be able to do that in the easily produced tone throughout your entire range. That's how loud you should sing. And so generally speaking, the loudness is about medium to medium soft, I would say. So this is principle number one on this, is reduce the, so I'm just talking to you as you're practicing on your own. If you're doing the exercises, like for your vocal type, very, very important, because you're building the ability to get through the bridge. You're learning how to bridge from chest to head with these exercises, or you're building your chest voice in some cases. So on a scale of 1, so ask yourself, first of all, record yourself practicing, or if you can dial in, listen or feel what you're doing. On a scale of 1 to 10, ask yourself, On a scale of 1 to 10, how loud am I? Well, maybe that was, no, 0 being no sound to 10 being as loud as you could possibly go. On a scale of 1 to 10, where are you? Let's say you say 6, divide it in half. If you're at a 6, take it to a 3. Okay? Now I wrote down here, do it again. Almost invariably, when I ask that question, they'll give me a number which I think is too high. I mean, which I think is um, too low. No, I meant I think they're underestimating how loud they are. So they're louder than they think. So they'll usually say, well, like if I think it's about an 8, they'll say about a 5 or something. So I usually say divide that in half. Take it down to, if you say you're at a 5, take it down to a 2.5. So sometimes you have to divide it twice to get it down low. So how low should we, how soft should we sing? I think there's something called the indispensable minimum. When you go to the doctor, you get you're sick, he gets you a bottle of antibiotic or something to kill the bugs. He doesn't tell you to take the whole bottle tonight. He gives you that minimum amount, the minimum dosage that will work. That's what we're talking about here. Do the minimum dosage of singing that keeps the larynx down and keeps the chords together, and practice that way. Or the indispensable minimum of loudness so that the tone is connected, so that as you're singing, you're not saying, ah, and then it goes into falsetto. Ah, ma, 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 ma. Sorry. Ma, 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 ma. It doesn't have to be what we're going for here is coordination. We're not going for power. We just want to develop the chord structure so that it stays connected, and we want to be able to do it with the larynx down. And so when we get this interplay between the vocal cords and the airflow, when we get that coordinated and balanced, then as Seth Riggs says, he said, the ability to increase loudness of your tone will come by itself after the coordination of your muscles, your vocal muscles have been established. This is very similar to what the story I was sharing about the runner, Harold Abrams. After the coordination of his muscle in a new way, his ability to run faster increased. But Musabini didn't say, just run faster. No, he had to retrain the whole system of muscles. He had to retrain the breathing, the legs. He had to retrain the getting off the block. He had to retrain, how he did his arms, how large of a step he took, how high his knees came up, all those things. That's what we're doing with our voices. So first step is, number 1, take the volume down. Not so hard. So, okay. Luke Subia says, I love this advice. Well, thank you, Subia. Hey, Ian, nice to have you here with us. Okay, so let's talk about principle number 2. Now, this is not real hard to do, but we don't do it typically. And that is, when you're practicing, if you've taken a lesson and you're practicing with the lesson, listen to it. Have you ever stopped just to listen to yourself as you do the exercises? Particularly, have you stopped to listen to the advice or the direction, the coaching that the teacher is giving? If you've taken a lesson from me, there'll be times when I'll demonstrate. Do you stop and listen to that? And then do you listen to what you do? Then you play it back and listen to what I do, and then listen to what you do again, and start measuring that. And if you start listening carefully, think, well, I think I did that exactly the way I was shown, and it worked. Now, can you sing that? Can you just practice that? Can you practice doing it that way? If we practice, there's an old saying, practice makes perfect, but that's wrong. Perfect practice makes perfect. If we're practicing wrong, we're just reinforcing wrong ways of doing things. So we've got to let go of the things that are, causing us problems. We maybe are not even aware of them. Most of the time we're not. That's why it's so valuable to listen to yourself, because you think, whoa, well, I didn't realize. I'll tell you a story. Some of you have heard this. I was taking a lesson from one of my teachers, and she said, she was giving me the exercise, mum, 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 and she kept saying, mum, 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 and I'm saying, mum, 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 and she said, mum. I'm thinking, what's wrong with her? I'm saying, mum, 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 mum. I couldn't figure out why she kept saying mum, 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 and I kept saying mum, mum, mum. I thought, what's wrong with you? I'm saying it. And then I listened back to the lesson, and I was saying ma'am, 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 not mum, mum, mum. I couldn't hear it. I couldn't feel it in the lesson. I couldn't interpret it coming out of me. I couldn't interpret that coming out of me was not what she was asking me to do. And she kept saying it over and over again. And then when I listened to it, I realized that no wonder she kept saying it. I wasn't saying it right. So it just, was a real eye-opener for me. What about you guys? Now you maybe haven't had a lesson, but you're listening to the demonstrations that I've given in different places, like maybe demonstrations of the exercises for your vocal type, for example, or a demonstration in a course that you perhaps have purchased. So I'm going to wager that you're practicing with it. But do you just listen to it before you do it? Or that takes me to number 3. This is the last point. Point number 3. And I've talked about this in the past. Record yourself practicing. Record yourself practicing. So turn on a recorder and practice with the computer, whatever's playing your music, and then listen to see what you're doing in your practice. It's going to be shocking, I think. I think you might be shocked, because we think we're doing it one way, and we're not. We're not doing it that way. We're doing it the wrong way. We think that the larynx is down. It's not. The larynx is up. We think that the vowel is correct, but it isn't. We're spreading it, So all these things. Now I'm speaking by experience, you guys. I guess I need to back up. I'm gonna hit the camera. I speak by experience. I am not really good at being self-aware in a lesson or even in a practice setting. I'm much better at going back. I learn a lot more, in fact, going back, listening to what I did in the lesson and listen to how I'm practicing. And those have been moments of my greatest learning, I have to say. What does this have to do? So what does this have to do with speed? How will this speed up your progress? How will this speed up your progress? My guess is if we could, because I've not done this every single time. I've done it periodically. And those were the times I learned the most. Now, before I began teaching full time, and I was in another career, every time I got in the car, I would plug one of my practice tapes in. So that's a pretty good one, but I wasn't listening as much. I was just practicing along with it. You really need to, and then I wasn't recording myself while I was practicing. This is a great exercise. While you practice, record yourself and then play it back. You don't have to do the whole lesson. Just record yourself for 5 minutes and play it back and listen to it. You may want to do it again. You might listen to it and say, wow, I don't think I was saying that right, or oh, I was a little flat, or whatever. Listen to it and then practice it again. Practice the same one you just listened to. Do it again. Or maybe there's some place in the lesson where we have a really good discussion, and there's a learning moment where something is kind of dawning on us as teacher and student. Listen to that multiple times and practice it. It's so enlightening. It's so exciting, and the learning you'll experience I think will accelerate. So what does that have to do with learning how to sing faster? It seems like a slower approach, but the slower approach seems to result in faster. The slower approach seems to result in a faster result. It seems to produce progress in a more remarkable fashion, and learning, and it accelerates your learning how to sing. So, comments and questions. Michael says, bit 4, he says, I've rewatched your demos of the exercises and still notice little subtle things. Yeah, I do too, Michael, in lessons that I've had with multiple teachers. I really am always surprised how much I've missed the first time. How, just kind of like I was oblivious to what, as much as I go in trying to learn. Yeah, terrifying. So one of the things that I recommend to everyone is to make sure that you've gone to get your vocal type and that you're doing the exercises for your vocal type, because that is going to give you the ability to begin singing through your bridge in a fashion that will allow you to get into your head voice, that will allow you to develop a mix of chest and head that opens up a whole new world to us as singers. And this is, even if you're not studying like regularly with a student, with a teacher, these exercises I demonstrate on powertosing.com. You guys all know where those are at, right? If you don't, down in the description section of this video, there's a thing that says get your vocal type. It's just a PDF, and it's got links to your vocal type test and links to your vocal type: full chest, high larynx, lip falsetto, light chest, no chest, or mix, and example videos. What is it? What are the exercises? Oops, I just hit the mic. What are the exercises that you can do? I demonstrate those. So these things you can study and listen and practice with them. You can download the exercises. So these are things that you can just dial in and just be very exact, very patient with yourself, and take the time to do what we've talked about today. And I think you're going to find that your progress is going to accelerate. So that's in the description below, and it's a free PDF download. That's get your vocal type. Okay. So let me back up here and take a couple questions. Let me see. Can you tell? So Ty says, can you tell me techniques on breathing and keeping a low larynx? Can you tell me techniques on breathing and keeping a low larynx? Probably there are 20 videos about those two topics inside my YouTube channel. So I can't just answer that question and be really thorough and complete. Um, but you know, I'll give you a piece of it. I'll give you a piece of that. So let's talk about low breath or a diaphragmatic breath. So the diaphragm is an umbrella-shaped muscle. It's up underneath the rib cage up here, and when you drop your tummy, so when the tummy comes out, it's the diaphragm dropping, and it pushes the tummy out. But it also pulls air into the lungs. It creates a vacuum so that tummy out, air goes in. Now I recommend you do it quietly. And when you do that, if you put your hand here in your Adam's apple, if you do the opposite, so you take a shallow breath and go, put your hand on your Adam's apple and do that shallow breath. What's happening to the Adam's apple or the larynx? It's going up. But if you take that low breath and you're kind of doing a kind of inhalation with a low breath, the larynx at least stays either stable or mine will drop. It'll actually go down. That's one thing you can do that affects the larynx as well as getting enough air to breathe to sing. That's just a little tip that has a huge impact. It's a real setup to start singing and be in a situation where everything is ready to go. Larynx is down, got plenty of air. So Biddy Four says it's been several weeks. I still struggle with and I still struggle with the bratty nays. I could do nose and mums much easier, but the volume is definitely a medium or better. You know, what I've seen with bratty nays is some people have a hard time saying nay, nay, nay. I don't know what it is at first, but I have found that over time it starts to come. And I don't know whether they're just not used to, sometimes it's awkward, you know, it's an awkward condition, or they just don't know how to mimic that sound. But so I'll give a couple tips. Number one is keep the volume lower. The minimum volume, you have to have a connected tone. You can't say nay, nay, nay. You know, you can't let it break into falsetto because that's the purpose of this is to connect the tone. Nay, 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 nay. So we do it a little bit on the quiet side, really witchy. And if it starts to break, then you have to do it witchier. Not louder, but witchier. Nay, 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 nay. The other tip is the vowel A is called a diphthong. There's two sounds to it. A-E, A-E, A-E. If I do it in slow motion, A. So you can hear it ends on E. So move quickly to the E part of that nay when you're doing the nay, nay, nay. Nay, 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 nay. So I'm going to the E rather rapidly. You can experience the same feeling by saying knee, 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 like a sore knee. Knee, 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 knee. Okay, now say nay, but in like you just said knee. Nay, 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 nay. So if I connect the tone and I get up there to the A flat, nay, 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 nay. Mission accomplished. That's all I need to do. Or the same thing on nay, 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 nay. Same principle. Nay, 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 nay. Again, the goal is just to connect the tone to the pitch, and it's that top note is nay, 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 nay. It's not falsetto, so it's deeper than falsetto. It's not nay, 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 nay. It's not that. Nay, 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 nay. And it's not pulled up chest. Nay, nay, nay. So it's a form of mix. It's not a finished tone. It's not a finished mix voice, but it's the beginning of it. So you've gotten through the bridge. You've connected from chest to head. It's a huge step forward. You start to realize, hey, I can do this. That's the idea behind it. Getting back to King says, my mixed voice and exercises are strong. My mixed voice and exercises is strong, and I can do the googs in all in full voice with good chord closure up to C5. But I still can't sing songs above F sharp 4, even though I do the exercise very good. Yeah, that's a challenge, isn't it? And if the exercises would only, if the songs were only like gug 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 gug, we'd all be sitting pretty nice. Gug is just one vowel, and the problem we have with words is that there are many vowels coming at us in every word and sentence and paragraph, and all the different pitches on the different vowels. So the next step is how do we sing with, how do we do the vowels like we do the exercises, so that the larynx is staying down and the chord structure staying together. That's the next step. And that's a very big challenge. And so I've talked a little bit about this before, but the first thing I would do is it's not going to be it's going to be probably something in the chorus and the bridge of the song, because it's going to be the higher notes usually. And so we want to pick a song where the high notes are not just in chest. We want the high notes to, the occasional high note to be in the bridge, and maybe even one or two above the bridge, so that we have to be in our mixed voice. And so we would take the song and apply a gug. Let's see. So I think King said he could do the googs in full voice. Then instead of doing the words, do it on gug first. If it holds, then so we know it's not, and it's not pulling. We know it's not your voice. It's the vowel. It's the word that's throwing you. And so then you've got to take that word, and it's probably going to need to narrow a vowel. So for example, and I would go to my website, Inc., and search vowel modification on the front page with a little search icon, the little spyglass, search vowel modifications. And you can get multiple videos about that. But it can be as simple as instead of saying no 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 no, so we might have to go from O to a little bit towards oo. That would be modifying the vowel slightly. No 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 no. All I did was close that O down a little bit, so I narrowed it from ah to oo. No 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 no. So it might be something that simple. Usually there's a word like love, or happens all the time. Try, I, my, sky. So if I said my, I'm going to be in trouble. So the I sound narrows to a UH. ma, 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 I, my. It's, you notice it's not my, horizontal, my, but vertical, my. The UH sound helps me to do that. So those ink are what you have to learn, and there's a download you can get off the website, Vowel Modifications. It's applicable to all of us. All of us need to be able to analyze our songs, determine which notes are in the bridge or above the bridge into head voice, and what the vowel is, and we're going to have to take that vowel and modify it so that we can stay in head voice or stay in mix. Ink says, Ty Wilson, if you sound like Michael Jackson, you're a high tenor. Don't know about that, but George, Tempo Slow-Mo app. Oh, Tempo Slow-Mo app is also available on your cell phone. Not only slow it down, speed it up, tempo. Okay, thanks, George. So you can record yourself. Cool. Tempo Slow-Mo. Slow down or speed up the tempo. You can also record yourself. George, thanks for that tip. That is awesome. Let me see a couple other things here that I may have missed. Going back up to I don't really know my type. So the vocal type is not how high you can sing or who you sound like. That's not it at all. I know naturally when I sing it sounds high like Michael Jackson. That's not the vocal type. That's your range. Vocal type is either full chest, high larynx. It's what you tend to do when you sing through the bridge. What the voice tends to do. Do you pull the chest and the larynx hikes up? That's your vocal type. That's my vocal type. Do you tend to let go of it and go real breathy and light? That would be a light chest, no chest. Do you tend to flip or into falsetto as you go through the bridge? That'd be flip falsetto and so forth. So that Ty is something you got to take the quiz, and that download that I talked about, it's got all the links that you need to have you within 10-15 minutes you'll have it all down. Okay, you'll know what your vocal type is. You know what your exercises need to be. So good question, Ty. Thanks you guys for helping him out. Okay, let me see here. I think we've kind of gotten the big questions out of the way, and it's about 1/4 to the hour. So thank you guys very much. I think we're going to call it a day today. I think there's to summarize this, our expectations need to be, we need to moderate those. We need to compare what it takes to building any physical skill, like a golf swing or a baseball swing, or any ability to run race, or diving off of the diving board, or off a cliff, or whatever. There's a big difference to what we're doing now and what we want to learn to do, and we can speed this up. So it's not necessarily a fast process, but we can speed it up by focusing on those fundamentals that we talked about today. To listen to your lesson, to listen to the recording, to record yourself practicing the lesson, and some of those basic things that we covered there. I think I left one out. Oh yeah, and reducing the loudness. All of those things are going to together will start to give you some momentum. It's like shifting into low gear. You're going to start getting real traction and real progress by listening to it. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to make a comment here to Mike. So Chuck, how do you know which vowel you need to change the word to? It's on there. It's on there in that vowel modification. If the vowel is ah, and it'll tell you what do you narrow to? If the vowel is that's giving you trouble, then you narrow it to to like mud, to good, and so forth. There's a chart there that will show you, give you the sound, and you have to say, well, the word is I'm singing is rocket, like in the Star Spangled Banner. I think you're from Great Britain, so you probably wouldn't sing that. But in the States, you might sing "And the rocket, red glare." Well, you'd say "And the rocket, red glib." So okay. Mike asks, vibrato is elusive to me. I still feel like I'm manipulating. Michael, you do feel like you're manipulating it, and you will for a while. That's what held me back. I thought, well, this is not real. I'm faking it. This is not real vibrato. Because my first teacher said, if you don't have it naturally, if you weren't born with it, you don't have it. You don't have vibrato. So I thought it was wrong. It is not wrong to get it started. So it's totally okay, you guys, when you're learning how to do vibrato. This is something this simple. And then stop the handshake, and but keep the vibrato going. And see if you can keep that same pulse, that same sensibility going without assisting it here. That's a real fast way of doing it. Or you could say she, and you can make it do that. After a while, there are neurons in the vocal cords. They'll start picking it up, and they'll take over. And after a while, they do it. They do it on their own. But at first, you have to hold those little guys' hands, your little vocal cord hands. You have to help them out. You have to get them going. All right? Okay. Thanks, everybody. Nice to be with you today. Thanks for some good comments and some good questions. And have a great rest of the week. And just remember that you can sing higher with beauty, confidence, and power. And you can do vibrato. It's all possible. It's all within reach. Sometimes we have to step back, focus in on the fundamentals of good practicing and listening, and keep our expectations in line, and with some patience, then these things start adding up, and then all of a sudden there's a breakthrough, and you add up and you keep doing it again. You be on a plateau, and then you keep doing those basic things, and then all of a sudden you take another jump up, and then you hit another plateau, and and then there's another jump up, and so forth. That's the way it works. And so I know many of you are well on the path. So thanks very much. This is Chuck Gilmore with Power to Sing. I'll see you inside the next video. Thank you. Have a great week.